Hockeytown, it's a place where dreams are found. We've fought so many battles here. Now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town. We won't stop or letting down. The cup is ours for all to drink. It's our time, let's rock this ring.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to a new podcast, new fresh episode of Hockeytown Rundown. Yes, you heard it here. We have some exciting news where Hockeytown University rebrands to Hockeytown Rundown, bringing Detroit Red Wings journey to fans, offering weekly updates on the Detroit Red Wings journey to the Stanley Cup Playoffs. And this new episode will be airing later today, obviously. Boys, Carlo, Derek, what's going on, my fellow podcast hosts? How are we doing today on this beautiful sunshiny day?
What is up? What is up? Glad to be back. Very excited to keep her going here with the Hockeytown Rundown. It's going to be great. Got Derek with us with his great mic. Just talk to us, Derek. What do we got? What do we got going through that mic?
Oh, boys, it's been a minute since I've been on here. God, I hate Februaries, but I'm so glad to be back to be able to talk about the Red Wings, even though, slightly, I wasn't too happy with the last couple of games, but we're still back. And I'm still feeling confident, so I'm okay with what's going on. How you guys been doing?
Honestly, not too bad. Like I said, another beautiful sunshiny day over here in holy Toledo land. I believe it's going to get up into the 60s and then tomorrow in the 70s, so no complaints here. Carlo, what's it like over there in Canadian land for you, bud?
Honestly, I know it's Canadian land, but we're not too far apart, to be honest with you, and it's going to be the same thing. Nice and sunny. Might wash the truck later. Getting excited about that. Get the salt off once and for all. But yeah, I think it's going to be like 60s and then 70s. Funny little note, I'm in Windsor, and we use Fahrenheit, but the rest of Canada uses Celsius, and the main reason for that is because we pick up Detroit radio. So just a little fun fact about folks in Windsor and the systems that we use. 100% American.
And so with that, boys and girls, the fellow listeners, welcome to this new episode of Hockeytown Rundown. To start off, if you wouldn't be so kind to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, leave us a thumbs up. Let's go ahead and get this video up to 20 likes. That really does help us out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you are on Spotify listening or watching us on there, please feel free to give us 5 stars. Follow us, whatever you got to do. We really do appreciate that. And so, boys, let's go ahead and kick things off, right? We're going to go pretty quickly. We got quite a few games that we need to slightly recap. We'll mainly touch on the game against the Florida Panthers. That was a very brutal game. But let's go ahead and jump right into it, where the Detroit Red Wings played the Chicago Blackhawks. Well, really, as Derek put it in these notes, it was Blackhawks versus Patrick Kane, where they did the Chris Chelios retirement of his jersey. And Chris Chelios said it first, where please don't steal my thunder. And honestly, Patrick Kane did exactly what he did not want him to do. And the Red Wings were able to win 3-2 in overtime. Honestly, really good game. Just to touch on it real quick, the Red Wings were down. It was 2-0 at one point, and the Red Wings were able to climb back up, making the stretch down in the third period. And Showtime, Patrick Kane was the one to finish it off, going top shelf on Peter Mrazek. Boys, real quick, what did you guys think about that game overall?
Well, to touch quick on it, let's be honest, it was an old Chicago player kind of night there. We had Chelios, who was a Chicago player, came to the Red Wings. We had DeBrincat, who scored the tying goal, was Chicago, now a Red Wing. And then who won the game for us? None other than Patrick Kane with an overtime winner on a lone shootout. Not even a shootout, just a lone breakaway.
Yeah.
It's scripted. I don't know what to tell you. That was the most perfect game you could ever watch. I mean, I'd say the Red Wings didn't play the best hockey the first 2.5 periods, especially against Chicago Blackhawks right now. But they came back at the end, and what a finish it was. Whew.
Yeah, that was a great finish. I think first of all, I have to ask, was anyone else standing when the puck went out to center ice? Because I was up so fast, and at that point you just kind of knew what was going to happen there. If you didn't know Patty Kane was going to absolutely bury that, it was just, like you said, scripted, storybook. And then the call. I mean, Ken Daniels, what an absolute legend.
Dude,
Unbelievable call.
I jumped directly out of my seat and I did like a fist bump to the ground, instantly scared my dogs a little bit, but it was well deserved. And I can't tell you honestly, the last time I ever did that with a Red Wings win. You know,
seriously, it's such a good point.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I was on the edge of my seat. I mean, lately that's what it seems like, right? We're all just kind of sitting on the edge of our seats, and that kind of happened a little bit last night's game as well. But no, really great game overall. And then I had the privilege of going to the Detroit Red Wings versus the Washington Capitals game, where the Red Wings just utterly dominated the Capitals 8-3 win. I kind of feel bad for Alex Lyon because his save percentage was under 900. It is what it is, but overall about that game, this is where the refs are starting to take a turn. They're starting to take money via handshakes from the opposing team, it seems like, and getting their $100 bucks worth out of screwing over teams, it seems like. But no, other than that, I thought that was a fantastic win. The vibes were very high that game. Everyone was excited. I was always on the edge of my seat the whole entire game. But yeah, boys, go ahead and touch on that game real quick.
Well, I think for one thing, you know, Washington really did try to get back into that game, especially in the beginning. And the Wings just kept saying, no, not happening. Like, we're going to go ahead and stop that, score another goal, score another goal, score another goal. So for a team like Washington, who's fighting also to kind of get in and take one of those wild card spots, I thought the Wings played unbelievable. Now, Washington was obviously pretty gassed. Just because that was the back. I think that was on the back half of a back-to-back, right? So
correct.
They were pretty tired. But to lose by that margin was pretty nuts. And again, credit to the Red Wings for dominating that game. That was really, really cool. And good on them for stifling them every time they tried to respond. You know what I mean? It's like, nope, goal. Respond back. Nope, goal. So that was my takeaway from that. That was a great game. Very, very complete game by the boys.
For sure. What about you, Derek?
I mean, it's great to see. I know Washington came out that back-to-back, but we also got to remember Red Wings were on a multi-game road trip and played 4 games, and I believe it was like 6 days. So if anyone's gassed, yeah, everyone has to be gassed during that game. But that just shows us that we're a competitive team. That's the team right now who's trying to get into the second wildcard spot behind Tampa. If we remember that correctly as of right now. Even though this game's a few days ago, but those are the guys now fighting for that position over New Jersey, which is also kind of crazy to hear about. But, that was just, it's a dominating game. Other than maybe 2-minute stretches by Washington out there, Red Wings just took over. I'm happy no one had to fight Rimple out there. That would have been atrocious because, I just keep watching those reels right now. We'll get into that later. I mean, him and Reeves, that was sad. But other than that, let's go on. That's not Red Wings news anyways.
Yeah, so kind of going in depth about the scoring from the Red Wings, there were only 4 players, I should say, actually in that game against the Washington Capitals that did not register a point. Everyone else on the team actually got one. Fabry got a goal. Sprong got an assist. Kopp got an assist. Lucas Raymond, a goal, 2 assists, who ended up getting the second star. Michael Rasmussen got an assist. JT Compher got a goal and assist. David Perron got 2 assists. Larkin got 2 points. Kane 2 points. Veleno 2 points. DeBrincat 1 point. Mata 1 point. Ghost Bear 2 absolute beautiful goals, man. I mean, even Joe Veleno too, talking about Joe Veleno, he ripped one top shelf too, and that was fantastic. And then Mo Sider with an assist, and then Alex Lyon, under 900 save percentage with an 8.57 with 18 saves out of 21. You can't really be upset about that. It is what it is. But kind of moving on from there. Glad to see that the boys did fantastic that game. And then talking about the New York Islanders game where the Red Wings were defeated 5-3. Honestly, boys, I really can't be upset about that loss, but it definitely seems like I mentioned about the refs in the Capitals game, it seemed like the refs were kind of out a little bit to disrupt the Red Wings winning streak a little bit there. And so, yeah, like I said, the Red Wings lost 5-3, but credit to the New York Islanders for playing a pretty decent shutdown game on the Red Wings, right? I mean, they were clogging up the blue line. They really were blocking a lot of shots and just making sure the Red Wings weren't getting enough action in front of the net even. Let's see here. I'm going to pull this up real quick. Let's see. Yeah, the New York Islanders had 21 blocked shots to our 11. They had 19 hits. They converted 1 out of the 3 chances on the power play, where we only had 2 opportunities. We did not convert. And let's be real, they beat us in the faceoffs as well, 56% to our 44%. Shots were pretty even, 27-25. But yeah, boys, what do you think about that game?
Well, I think Derek brought it up earlier with the guys being a little gassed, right? I mean, playing that much hockey, I think that starts to wear on you, and I think we saw that over the course of the last few games. But I mean, the Islanders playing typical Islanders hockey, where they're blocking shots, they're playing that defensive shutdown type of hockey. Unfortunately, the Red Wings just weren't able to kind of break through that. I mean, they did score those 3 goals, and a credit to them. But I think that's where the fatigue started to come into play, which, as we know, carried into yesterday as well. Derek, what do you think?
I mean, it was the first period was rough to watch. They were just getting overpowered. Islanders came out and just brought it to them right away. Just the physical aspect of the game that the Red Wings slightly still lack. And I feel like we all know that, especially with how the trade talks and how we've been talking with each other lately. We know that we're missing a key aspect of physicality on the team. And the Islanders took advantage of that in the first period. Luckily, the Red Wings came back in the second and beginning of the third a little bit, started pushing back a little bit, using what minimal size they had. But, I mean, coming back from a 2-0 deficit 2 times, you can only do so much. And Nelson out there just sniping over the shoulder of line. There's a couple of those goals, I know Lions' save percentage wasn't pretty that game, but that tip, a couple of those snipes, I can't even argue the fact that no one's saving those. Unless you're 250-pound, 6'8" goalie, you're not taking up that much of the net. I'm sorry.
Just be the net, Alex Lyon. Please, just be the net in general. Well, speaking about Alex Lyon, once again, an under 900 save percentage where you made 22 saves out of the 26 shots. But much like Derek said, not really too much he can do about it. There were a couple times where you saw him kind of out of position. He was kind of coming out and playing a little aggressive. But sometimes you have to do that, try to get the boys amped up a little bit. And yeah, Derek, you're kind of right. Once we go into the Florida Panther game, it's pretty evident that this team, outside of Ben Sherratt, they really do need someone that's a little more rough and tugged to go against the teams that love to play that style of the game, right? And so that's what makes me nervous going into the playoff run, is that I don't expect them to make a deep run, right? As much as I want them to, I really do. But if we do want them to make a deep run, we definitely have to add someone that can add that strength, that grit, that tenacity to get underneath the other team's skin a little bit. And so, yeah, let's kind of go into that game where the Detroit Red Wings lose 4-0 to the Florida Panthers yesterday. We are recording on Sunday. It is currently 11:30 in the morning on March 3rd, 2024. Alex Lyon was in net. And to start off this game, honestly, it looked like that the Red Wings had them, right? I mean, we all kind of said it. We predicted that the score was going to be 4-2, Carlo. Derek, I believe you said 3-2 in overtime with the Red Wings winning. But let's talk about some of the key factors in this game, right? Where the Red Wings had an opportunity 2-on-1 with Patrick Kane and Lucas Raymond. Those two, I've said this time and time again, Patrick Kane has added more value than just what he brings onto the ice, and it's showing in Lucas Raymond. He is out there dominating in that second line and being the driver for it, right? And so I don't know what happened in that 2-on-1 other than they did a really good job at breaking it down. Their defenseman came back and kind of dove, and it kind of hit Bobrovsky's pad on the back and just kind of went away from it. But it was wide open net with a nice defensive play, like I said, by the Panthers to disrupt the play. Alex Lyon does make, bro, I kid you not, I think that was the save of the day, the week, whatever you want to call it. But it was the one where he made the left pad save and then it hit the crossbar and out. What'd you guys think
That was
about
nuts.
that save overall? Would you guys agree with me that that's the save of the day or week?
I mean, I had
Totally.
a major heart attack during that moment, let me tell you. Pucks usually don't bounce. When they hit the inside of the crossbar like that, they don't bounce out normally either. They bounce in. When I saw that bounce, I was like, Jesus Christ, someone hit it out, and someone hit it out. I was like, okay, we got a nice breath of fresh air there. We're good. Whew.
Yeah, I think it was Kaner that came back and cleared that.
Yeah.
But talking about Lyon, though, I mean, he was definitely sharper yesterday. I know we lost 4-0, but the last two games, sorry, maybe not the last two, but definitely the one against the Islanders, he was not tracking that puck well. And it showed whether he was, I mean, Zach, you said he kind of came out a little bit to challenge, which I did see, but I also seen, I think it was on the goal to go up 4-3, where he was totally recessed back into his net, and it looked like he was struggling to track that puck.
Yeah.
But then yesterday, I mean, that save he made yesterday, he was right back into being Alex Lyon, totally dialed in and tracking that thing well. Because, I mean, if you're not making that save. That was a huge, huge save. But speaking of the Bob father too, going back a little bit, I think one of the reasons why that they were unable to convert on that goal is because the Bob father is like 4 times the size of Lucas Raymond. And yeah, you're not, sorry, Luke. maybe put on another 10 pounds this summer and maybe next year.
Yeah, and there's something about players when they go up against their former teams, right? Where Alex Lyon was actually personally to me was the sole reason why the Panthers even made it into the playoffs last year, right? He didn't get to play in the playoffs, but he was the sole reason why that team was able to squeak in, and by barely, if we remember, right? And it was all thanks to the Chicago Blackhawks beating the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that's how the Chicago Blackhawks ended up with Connor Bedard. We've talked about that a couple times here, and so thanks Pittsburgh Penguins for ruining everyone's perfect day with that. But no, continuing on with the game, Comfort was able to actually get a goal, but the refs wave it off because Michael Rasmussen forgot that he's playing hockey and not football, tackling Sergei Bobrovsky.
I still counted a goal, you know. Bobrovsky was just in the way. That's his own fault.
Yeah.
Why was he in his crease?
It did look like he was out of his crease a little bit, right? But, I mean, this is the NHL that we're talking about. Everything is just based on what the refs are feeling on that specific day, right? So,
I mean,
I think it's his size, too.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, size, and then whatever Derek said, I didn't really understand what he said. But after that, that's when kind of things took a turn, right? Where Brandon Montour gets the Panthers on the board first in the second period with Cop. A little bit of puck watching. You mentioned that, Carlo, in our group chat, who fails to disrupt the shot, and that's 1-0 Florida Panther Kitty Cats. Real quick, Andrew Kopp, do we really want to take a crack at this and just say how he has not looked good? I mean, we could go in depth about the stats in February. He only showed up with 2 points, not really too many shots on goal, not very many hits either, not too many blocks. He's great on the PK, but that cap hit is not looking good at all as time goes on. And does it make you guys a little nervous?
Everything makes me nervous nowadays. I don't know. We have players we should bring up, players that shouldn't be on our lineup. I'm scared of everything. And I still think we're still playoff contending team, but Jesus. If we want to be a cup contending team, I want to have these heart attacks taken away from me.
Yeah, Derek's going to need a pacemaker in like 2 weeks. I don't know. I mean, Pop, he's good on the PK. I think he's very streaky, though, as well. Like, and I'm not saying streaky in the sense where he's going to go and score, 4 games in a row and then get quiet, because that's kind of not really the case. But I think when you look at Andrew Kopp and you look at his performance, is what is he doing in and around with the puck? You know what I mean? That's the kind of player he is, and that's the kind of plays he's kind of, I guess, called upon to execute. But I don't know, man. I just seen like not clearing the puck when you should be clearing the puck, not getting your stick there. I'm pretty sure he was even ahead of the guy too, yesterday at least. Yeah, just kind of puck watching, not exactly what you want to see, but I'm sure he would be the first person to tell you that as well. Like he's pretty hard on himself, so it seems. So again, like I mentioned last week, to be that fly on the wall in Andrew Kopp's stall, I'm sure he wasn't the most enthused player yesterday. But yeah, it was tough to watch. And I've seen it. I think it was against the Islanders too, or just a couple instances of him puck watching, getting the puck but not clearing it out, and it's just now again, like we're talking about this like the game's not on. We're talking about this from our our living rooms or our offices, and it's a little bit different when you're on the ice. So you got to kind of have that respect for the player. You're not on the ice. You don't know what's going on or where the momentum's swinging. But I don't know. I look at it as if you have an opportunity to touch the puck with your stick, you better figure out a way to clear the blue line with it. It's just, I'm not seeing that too much out of him. Right. And then you talk about the cap space and immediately I'm like, let's not talk about that. But, but you don't want to deflect on it too much because it is the reality. Hopefully he can find his game. I mean, that's all we can really hope for right now is for Andrew Kopp to find his game. Because if he does, he could definitely be a weapon. And again, maybe not on the score sheet, but definitely in the defensive zone and in the PK for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so continuing on with what we got here in the notes, this is when, obviously, like I said, with the Florida Panthers, they play a very, very heavy game where they like to get underneath the other team's skin, right? I mean, that's their main objective, right? Oh, if they're getting a penalty, then they're going to take you with them, right? And they're going to try and get you to take the extra penalty too, right? Reinhart makes it 2-0 while they're on the power play. I believe it was tipped by Petrie. I couldn't really tell because the slap shot was so hard by Reinhart. But yeah, just Petrie in general, just a lot of mistakes too from him. We're going to talk about some of the things that Emily Kaplan brought up during that game too. But continuing on, that's when Evan Rodriguez makes it 3-0, ripping one at the top of the circle. Michael Rasmussen also was kind of right there and just missed his assignment, really, I believe. It was just pure, utter domination from there once it entered into the second period. And I don't want to say that the Red Wings collapsed under pressure, but like I mentioned, the Florida Panthers live to get underneath the skin of their opposing team that they're playing against, and that's exactly what they did. Panthers in the third period alone, I think within the first 7 minutes of the third period, they already had 12 shots on net compared to our 1. That's not good. And then you go later into the game where Ben Sherratt, Jake Wallman, I don't know if Larkin got ejected, but both those players ended up getting ejected, and the Red Wings are left with only 4 defensemen to play for the rest of the game. I believe there was probably like maybe 7, maybe 10 minutes left. And then that's when Montour makes it 4-0, and that's pretty much the game. The rest were nice enough to give us a 4-minute power play with less than 4 minutes to go in the third period, which at that point just don't even give us one. And I get it. They wanted to help us out and kind of ease the pain a little bit for our defensemen, knowing that we only had 4 left. But boys, that was the most telling game, I think, for Steve Yzerman to look at and go into the trade deadline and be like, is this team truly ready? And I'm starting to get vibes of last season where we lost to the Ottawa Senators 2 games back to back, right? And so is this kind of the same situation as it is last year? Or is it a little bit different still where Steve Yzerman still has the, what's the word I want to use here? The promise that these boys can actually make it into the Stanley Cup playoffs? Because I believe at this point right now, someone put it in the notes, we have like 67% chance of being in a playoff spot. So what do you guys think?
I mean, it was such a weird game. I mean, I think, what was it, like 10 minutes left? We were already at 30 minutes worth of penalties. So at that point, it was kind of hopeless. I mean, it looked hopeless when they came out in the third period. They just didn't have the drive, didn't have the momentum anymore. It was more so, okay, let's get this game over with and let's get to the next game type feel. So it was kind of rough to watch even the last period. I sticked around. I was like, I know it's going to be an ending game for them, but man, it's just hard to watch when you know your team is just, they know they lost. They've given up mainly, and luck's not on their side. Like 30 minutes of penalties at 10-minute mark. That's not including what happened afterwards. So we're probably hitting 40 minutes of penalties in the game itself, which is pretty insane. Don't know what the refs were doing there because it was definitely more one-sided until we got that foreman with 3 minutes left. But Is there something we have to do to get rid of somebody to bring something in? Probably. Again, we've been killing the fact that our D is just ungodly atrocious right now in the bottom half. So I feel like even though we hear these talks about Jake Guentzel and all that whatnot, I still think that if we're going to do anything, and it has to be on the defensive end at this point.
Yeah,
Correct. What about you, Carlo?
Yeah, I would totally agree with Derek on the defensive part. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I think it's pretty clear just based off of how Florida's been playing over the course of the last, like, I guess 2 months now, really. Like, I think the Stanley Cup kind of runs through that team right now. They have the entire package. They can skate. They can beat you up. While they're beating you up, they're going to get under your skin. While they're scoring goals, Kachuk's going to rub it in your face. And I think that's what happened with OT Benny yesterday. But I mean, they're the entire package. I mean, that team is insane. And I think the Red Wings just got, I think Andrew Kopp said it yesterday, where this was an emotional test for us and we lost control of our emotions. I mean, that was pretty obvious to Derek's point with the amount of penalty minutes. Do I think this has the same weight as last season this time of year? I don't. I think the Wings, they didn't lose any points for losing. You know what I mean? They're still 7 points in the spot. They still have a really good probability of making the playoffs. I think this was a measuring stick game. Part that bugs me the most is that they were unable to score a goal on home ice. I never like seeing that. I think when you're at home, you're selling out your arena for however many games it's been now. Ken Daniels mentioned it. I think they went 4 or 5, maybe 6 game consecutive sellouts. You got to score a goal on home ice. Like, you beat Washington 8-3. You should be able to score a goal on home ice. I don't want to digress too much. I mean, credit to the Florida Panthers again. They are a big, bad hockey team. And it was a big measuring stick game for us. Had we have maybe controlled our emotions a little bit better throughout that game with those penalties being taken, maybe the outcome's a little bit different, or maybe the margin of the difference in score is going to be a little bit different. But I mean, it's hindsight now, right? So this is something for coaching staff, players, and everybody to really look back and reflect on to make sure it doesn't happen again. Or it's like, hey, if this happens, here's how we're going to execute on, coming back, bouncing back. But no, Zach, to answer your question from before, I don't think this has any weight on what Yzerman's going to do in the trade deadline coming up to it here in the next few days. I personally think the next couple of days are going to be huge for Steve Yzerman, though, because we're off. And it's also going to be huge for Alex Lyon to get some rest, and the rest of the guys. But they don't play again until Wednesday. I think if anything is going to happen, or if any news is going to break, which is kind of a rarity with Steve Yzerman, it's going to be in these next few days. But to tell you what's going to happen, man, I have no idea. Like, is it depth pieces? Is it a big move? I think we have something coming later on in the episode talking about that more in detail. But it's I still think I'm still really excited about the Wings, where they are in the standings. They have a really good chance still, and I don't think the game yesterday is going to turn this team from being buyers to sellers. No chance. Like I said, they're still very much involved in that wild card 1 spot. So, and that's a credit to them and how they've played. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, to finish it off, I don't believe that you should be nervous about this 2-game losing streak. I think that this is fine. You went up against the top team in the league, the Florida Panthers, and much like you said, Carlo, they're exactly the model of the Stanley Cup playoff team that you want. And there's a reason why they made it to the Cup final last season. They started off slow this season. They had a lot of injuries. Credit to them for making it all the way back up here. Not that they were super down in the standings, but they were riding in it in the top 3 in our division spot throughout the whole entire season up until now, where, the last couple months they've been playing legit playoff hockey against the opposing teams that they go up against. And so with that, the Red Wings do lose 4-0. But let's go into some Red Wings news, where a lot of fans are upset with Chris Ilitch, and I guess for good reason, with the new patch sponsorship on the jersey with Priority Garbage Company. I don't know what else to call them, the Garbage Company, because that's exactly what it is. And I'm very confused as to why they would do that. And there's multiple reasons for that. I don't want to go too deep into them, but being a billionaire, do you really need a sponsor on a jersey that doesn't need it when it's so iconic? And I'll just say this right now. go buy as many Adidas jerseys, Nike, CCM, whatever it is, as you can before they ultimately start putting the sponsorship patch onto these jerseys. So I'll just leave it at that. You guys want to spiel out a little bit about the new sponsorship on the jersey
I
real
wish
quick?
it was Carhartt. Carhartt logo would have been unreal on that jersey, and it instantly would have been the best-selling jersey on the planet, with a player on the back or not. But that's just my take on that. But I mean, I don't know. You got to do what you got to do as Chris Illich. Everyone's kind of doing it. There are way more invasive patches out there. I'm kind of happy this one's all white. I would have liked it a little bit better if it didn't say priority and it was just like the logo. You know what I mean? The P with the, I don't know if it's a diamond or whatever it is up and down.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think we're going to be over it in a couple of weeks. When we win a game, we'll probably get over it because right now we're 0-2 in the priority waste management era of jersey sponsorship. So,
thoughts, Derek?
I would say not the best look for them right now, but it blends in. It is what it is. And I mean, it means more money for the team, more money for the players. They're not upset about it. They don't give a damn. They're like, well, if we win, we win. Like, who cares what's on our jersey? It's like, we get that, but at the same time, the fans care. Like, care what we care about too. They don't. They really don't. They'll take the millions and millions of dollars priority is probably giving them just to throw that tiny patch on there. So
I would have been happy with a pizza slice from Little Caesars, right? They could have went with that. They could have put an octopus on there, kind of like our new logo, but it is what it is, right? But other than that, more Red Wings news. During the Florida Panthers Red Wings game, Emily Kaplan comes on and talking about what the Red Wings and Steve Yzerman might do at the trade deadline. She mentions how the Red Wings are looking to buy. They're looking to move a blue liner, looking at impact forwards, much like Jake Guentzel, and then ask the rival GM what to expect from Yzerman, quote unquote, probably something big. Much like you said earlier, Carlo, it can go either way at this point. Really, And Derek Lalonde said the most aggressive thing that this team can do at the trade deadline is do absolutely nothing, and everyone would be okay with that. I would be okay with that. I don't want to put us in a position where we absolutely feel like that we need to ship off a first-round pick, a grade A or grade B prospect to keep playoff hopes alive, because that's what Ken Holland did, right, during his tenure with the Red Wings being the general manager. So in terms of looking to buy, yeah, go out and buy. If you could do it minimally, get a depth piece, go ahead and do that. As far as looking to move a blue liner, we brought this up in an episode, I believe it was the last episode, Carlo, where there's a couple names that you can throw out there, but I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, so I'll let y'all speculate that are watching this video, and I'm sure you all probably know the names of those couple players. But yeah, in terms of, doing something big, I think even adding a depth piece is big for this team too. And so what do you guys take away from Emily Kaplan and all the things that she said about what this team could do at the trade deadline?
I think something big depends on what it costs us. I mean, I think both you guys said it earlier. It's like, well, we don't really expect this team to go on a run deep into the playoffs. I think that's kind of the reality of it. So when you think about that and you want to go and start adding pieces, well, if you're not going on a run and, maybe you get out of the first round, do you really want to go and give up a first round pick just to make the first round and then you're out? I don't think I'd do that. I surely don't think Steve Yzerman would do that. Now, again, if whoever that GM was saying probably something big, if this is just a straight up old school hockey trade, like a Verana Manta type of situation where it's a trade, maybe obviously there's a couple prospects or second or third rounds in the mix as well to go and get like another brand power name, then yeah, I trust Steve Yzerman more than anybody to make that happen. And I'm sure he's doing it for the right reasons, but I mean, it's still so tough to predict what route they're going to take. Again, there's still a couple more games leading up to it. And, again, you got to look at what is this going to cost me? And then in turn, what is this going to cost me on the draft floor? What is this going to cost me next year? I mean, there's layers to it, right? Derek, what do you think?
I mean, we just got to remember, if we do any of these big name moves that we're all looking at, all these names that are flying around that involve multiple teams, and what mostly will come out, like what we saw for Guentzel that Matt let us know this morning, would most likely be two prospects of high caliber. It's gonna hurt. No matter what we do. Like, if we don't do anything, obviously it's gonna hurt. We know what the outcome is because we're watching the outcome right now. And if we do something, it's gonna take a lot away from us, and we're gonna be missing some key players that we originally were hoping that would be there for us in 2-3 years. But we also got to.
What do you guys think? I was just going to throw this out there. This just kind of popped into my mind. But, like, what would you guys think about possibly Perron? I know we talked about Perron last episode, but if Perron were to get traded and Berggren comes up in that position, and then, you know, Ghost or Petrie or Hall, one of the three get traded, moved somehow, and then Edvinsson pops up into those roles. What do you think about something like that, where I guess now you're truly adding by subtracting? Now, I'm not too sure what the return would be for a David Perron. I don't know if it's going to be picks. I don't know if it's going to be somebody that slots in right now. And then the same thing goes for one of the three D-men that I mentioned in Petrie, Hall, or even Gostisbehere. I think Gostisbehere would probably yield something a little bit higher. Same with Perron. But what do you think about that? Perron and one of those three D-men, they get moved, and then Berggren and Edvinsson come up to fill those voids. Do we think that's something that makes sense? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I'm just curious. And folks listening, drop us some comments. Give us your feedback on that too, because totally want to get some more insights from the fan base on that and have some pretty cool dialogue in the comment section, which is down here. Let us know. But guys, Derek and Zach, what are your thoughts on that? It just popped in. I wanted to talk about it.
I mean, I could see it happening. Like, obviously at this point we have defensemen that we can get rid of. Perron not producing as great as he used to, but he still has that locker room presence that every team probably wants right now, that can control them together and bring them into what they need. So I guess it really depends on what we're getting back for them. Obviously Perron, and say if we trade off Hall or Sherratt somehow, it's not going to be crazy big return. So, like,
no.
What, second, third round picks maybe at that point? And if we're going to bring, like, if they make it a package deal with another defenseman, then what happens there? Because we now have another defenseman with Edvinsson trying to come up. Like, it's such a harsh thing to maneuver through, and I'm really happy I'm not Steve Yzerman right now, because that just seems like the biggest headache in the world to try to figure out.
He thrives in these situations. He's said it multiple times. He wants to feel uncomfortable. He wants the team to make him feel uncomfortable with these types of situations. And so for me, and thanks for that, Derek, I think that was really great stuff. You know, for me, it's do we want to disrupt what this team already has going for them, but also in that same token, do we want to disrupt what Grand Rapids are doing? Because now they're on an 18-game point streak, like Derek put in these notes. They're absolutely killing it down there. Berggren's getting a point to 2 points every freaking game. I know he got an assist yesterday. That Carter Mazer, Berggren. Why am I blanking on the other player? I believe. Nope, I'm not even going to try. That whole entire line is just great, and it's all young players, right? They're just, it's Casper. Sorry, how could I forget the Ghost Man?
Oh, man.
I know.
You can't forget about Casper. I know he's a friendly ghost, but damn.
They're all killing it. I find it really funny that they call Mazer Tooth because he's missing a couple teeth, so that's great. I wanted to throw that out there, but does Steve Yzerman think that would disrupt moving up a player like Berggren and Simon Edvinsson? I don't know. I don't know if it would or not. I mean, the boys, why are you going to try and break something up when it's working out really well for themselves? They are in a playoff position down there in Grand Rapids, much like how we are. But will taking those players out damage what they're doing currently? Now, if you can do something where, you know, if you traded Perron, if you traded Ghost Bear, Hall, Petrie, Derek said Ben Sherratt. I don't think we'll end up trading Ben Sherratt, but if you trade at least someone on the right-handed D side, and if you can move Ben Sherratt over to right-hand side, because we've done that before, and he actually looked better last season when we did that. The team, obviously, not we, but, you know, then I think you can make a case, right? But I think if you're going to trade any of those players that we just mentioned, if we can get a AHL player back while shipping those players off, then I would definitely do that. I think Steve Yzerman might want to actually try and do that. If you can get like a second and then a glorified AHL player, like a Taro Hirose type of some sort, absolutely, you go ahead and do that. I think that would probably be the best way to go about it, honestly. But like I said, and just like how Lalone said, the most aggressive thing that I think that we could probably do is just not do anything, and they would be all right with that. But like Derek said, Perron's not producing like he was last season. It's getting a lot more difficult for him. Not saying that he's becoming a bad player, but you're starting to see that cliff, right? Where it was up here, now it's trending downward. But the locker room presence, I mean, a week ago we were saying, yeah, we should re-sign him, right? But if a team comes knocking on the door wanting him for his power play specialty, like the Vegas Golden Knights, because their power play is not the greatest, and he's familiar with Vegas, and they offer you a second round pick, that'll be later in the second round, but you can use that pick in the off season closer to the draft and flip it for a Jake Guentzel if he does not get traded at the trade deadline or something right before free agency starts, right? And so there's multiple ways you can go around this. And so for me, I would prefer to leave it alone, but if you can add while subtracting, go ahead and do that. I think that's a great move that Steve Yzerman can do. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think you made a great point, and if you can bring back some AHL caliber players in those deals to fill the voids that would be left by Berggren and possibly Edvinsson, who would come up. But Steve Yzerman's like probably one of the most thorough individuals running a team, and I mean, I think he's going to take a look at all his options in the sense of, okay, are these AHL players better fitted for the Grand Rapids Griffins than Berggren and Edvinsson are? Because that's one side of the coin. And then the other side of the coin is, well, or do I trade these players and bring some impact players onto the team now and just leave Berggers and Edvinsson alone? So there's so many layers to it, man, and it's so tough to predict. Obviously, I think it's a great point to see if we do bring those guys up and do, add by subtraction, aka bringing people up from GR, then yeah, obviously you got to fill those voids in GR that are left behind, and whatever those players look like or whoever they are would be very interesting to see. But yeah, I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting couple of days because it's so hard to pinpoint what exactly is going to happen. But I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Newsy's right and they do stand pat, because at that point there's no risk at all. Like, you're not giving up prospects to go on this playoff run where you're probably not going to make it past the second round if you get there, type of thing. So maybe standing pat is the best move they can make so they don't lose anything and when it goes into next season, right? So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I really don't know where to go with it, and I don't know what to think. Derek, where are you at with this?
I mean, I like the idea of addition to subtraction. Like, at this point, you want to make sure that your top players are playing on your NHL team, because obviously that's why they're on your feeder team, to produce and develop and get moved up. But at the same time, like Zach said, you want your AHL team to continue to produce too. Because if they're not producing, you're not getting the talent that is getting the thoughtful development that they need to actually become a NHL caliber player. So it's a hard thing going back and forth. You don't want to destroy your AHL team by bringing up all the good players to the NHL, but at the same time, you don't want to keep those NHL caliber players down in the AHL, destroying their development when they're ready to be pushed up already. So I do like that idea of taking away what we have, don't get rid of the prospects, but adding more into that AHL level area to continue that development for the players that are coming up. Doesn't hurt us this year, but it could also help us for future development. So
yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword too, though, right? I mean, you're looking at the NHL club, you're looking at the Red Wings, you're looking at the Grand Rapids. I mean, there's your two edges on that sword. I do think the Grand Rapids one, is a little bit duller. I think always the Red Wings are obviously going to take priority, right? And if that means we're pulling up guys that are just banging the door down, then that's going to happen. Like, regardless of Grand Rapids, like, Steve Yzerman's job is to get the Red Wings performing, which he's done. But if he can bring in guys from Grand Rapids, I think he's going to do that without a shadow of a doubt, without a blink of an eye. He's going to pull them up with no regard on how is this going to affect this team. I'm sure there'll be some thought process into it, but if you're asking Steve Yzerman, hey, are you going to pull up Berggren and Edvinsson, who are going to guarantee you X, Y, and Z, he's going to tell you, 1000% he's going to do that. Now, that's the thing, though. That's not a guarantee. I'm just throwing out a hypothetical, but I just think the sword's a little duller on the Grand Rapids side. I think if Yzerman feels that these two players can make an immediate positive impact on the Red Wings, they're getting called up, and there's no questions. Like, it's just kind of there is no questions about it. But again, like, we'll see what happens. Like, can we just press fast forward and get to like Friday? Yeah. Zip.
We need to be like 2 weeks in the future so we can stop like having to talk about this and think about it.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So from here, we're just going to do a brief rundown on some of the Grand Rapids players and what they're currently doing with the team, right? And so Carter Mazur, since the new year, 6 goals, 15 points in 21 games. Marco Kasper, same stat, since the new year, 7 goals, 13 points. He's a +5 in 22 games. Albert Johansson, 2 goals, 5 points, -10. However, he is the shutdown guy. Like, he is the guy who pretty much, I'm most certain, plays on the PK. You know, he just plays a really well-rounded shutdown game and very, very underrated. When Winged Wheel podcast did interviews with the Grand Rapids players, they all said Albert Johansson's name. I didn't hear Simon Edvinsson's name. Maybe that's because, you know, we always hear it, right? And that's the expectation from him, right? Is to be that good of a player. And so they brought up his name quite a bit, and I'm very excited for Albert Johansson on when and if he ends up making this team. Hopefully he doesn't get traded, but I firmly believe that there's an opportunity here for him to be on this team and play really great hockey with the Red Wings in the future. Simon Edvinsson, 2 goals, 9 points with a +7 in 21 games. And he is laying out bodies out there, dude. He is destroying the opposition. Like, it is freaking insane.
I feel like he's starting to realize that he is a monster on the ice, and if he throws his body in one direction, no one out there is going to stop him. Like, no, you just got to move forward, and that 5'10" forward coming at you isn't going through you.
Is it wrong? Is it wrong to say and compare that Simon Edvinsson could become our next Ben Sherrod, but produce more in that sense?
I mean, that's my hope right now.
Because OT Benny is out there, the overnight assassin. He's overnight assassinating the opposition just as much as Simon Edvinsson is.
Yeah, I think Simon needs to get a little more bite. Like, he's got the frame, he's got the size. I think he's starting to learn that and starting to come into it. But man, Ben Sherrod plays with a chip on his shoulder, man. Like, he is not. You know what I mean? Like, he's got that edge and he's got that bite, and you can see it. Like, you can see it just by watching the way he plays and going after guys, or just the little hits he makes in the corners. Like, he's got bite to that I don't think Simon Edvinsson has. That's not to say that Simon Edvinsson's not going to get that. I mean, we're talking about him laying people out. Maybe that's the kind of changing of the guard of Simon coming into his own. I hope that's the case. But that's a really good question, Zach. I think there's an interesting comparable there. I can see the headline OT Simon whenever he does make the team and eventually gets his skates under him, because that OT goal he scored the other night was just nasty. It was a beauty. But yeah, I think he needs a little more bite to kind of get into that role of a Ben Sherrod. I think he is a little more offensive than Ben Sherrod is as well, which is a great thing. All the big D-men prospect in our pipeline seem to have a high offensive side to them, like very high. And Simon, again, seems to be kind of coming into his own there. It's just now it's like, can we get him playing with a little more bite, get a little chip on his shoulder, and maybe him staying down in Grand Rapids is the reason this chip on the shoulder is forming, right? Same thing with Berggren. Berggren's popping off right now. Does he have a chip on his shoulder because he's not playing in the NHL? Maybe, but the separation is 100% there between Berggren and some other players on the team, but also other players in the AHL that are not on Grand Rapids. Like, there is a big separation happening right now with Berggren. He is really starting to buzz around there.
Yeah, and that's the next player that we're going to bring up since the New Year. Points in 17 games. I mean, well over player right now currently. And the rumor was out there that he denied an extension. Is that true? I don't know, because Yzerman does not leak anything. I don't know where anyone else would have heard that. I don't know if that's just smoke, but I don't believe Yzerman would just do that because, you had him on the team last year. Could he be upset that he's in Grand Rapids? I don't think so, to be honest with you. He just seems like a very genuine kid. And let's remind ourselves that this is a player, when he got drafted, he was injured pretty much for 2 years straight, too, right? So he had to work like a dog to get to where he's at right now. And so that's his overall objective. He's proving Steve Yzerman that, hey, I belong in the NHL, much like you said, Carlo, that, yeah, I just don't see him going anywhere. I think that this is a player that we just absolutely cannot lose. If you got to sign him to a 1 year, $2 million contract to say prove it, go ahead and do that. I really don't care. Give him a 2x2, do whatever you got to do. I'm just spitballing here. But yeah, I think Berggren is a Red Wing, and I think he belongs here with us. I would hate to see him on another team and just drop goals on us left and right. So what do you guys think about the whole Berggren thing, everything that's going on?
I mean, the big part of that is you got to remember with these talks of like extensions, contracts, one party's going to come out with an offer and the other one's always going to deny it. Like that's how it works time in and time out. It doesn't matter who it is. They're always going to happen like that. Of course, they're going to deny the first offer and say, no, it probably wasn't what they wanted. And it comes down to probably not Berggren at that point. It comes down to his, whatever they're called.
Agent.
Yeah, his agents at that point who are trying to help him out more and more. Obviously, at this point, I can see Berggren trying to get they're trying to get him an NHL deal. He deserves it. I believe so at this point. At the same time, do I think he's going to be a Red Wing forever? I don't know right now, especially because he might be one of our biggest trade chips that we possibly have. Do I want to get rid of him? No. I can see him fitting in that middle six very nicely, producing points like a 50, 60-point producer. But where are we slotting him in right now? That's where I'm trying to think. Like in the next 2 years, 3 years, like where does he fit in really? Especially with who we have coming up, who we have now.
I can really see him taking Perron's spot, man. I mean, it really like that's where the predictability comes in. Like there's going to be a domino effect that we're going to start to be able to predict based off of the signings that happen. If Perron signs again, then something's got to be going on with Berggren, and not a good something that we would want. But if Perron doesn't get signed or he gets traded, I don't think Yzerman would walk him. I think Yzerman would try to get something back for him. So if Perron does get traded, I think that's where Berggren comes into the mix and slots in. The only part of that is I'm a little, I guess, hesitant about is, can Berggren protect the puck as well as David Perron? Because, I mean, you could pass David Perron the puck in any 4-foot diameter or circumference around him. He's going to pull the puck in and he's going to get that puck in his possession.
He can dive deep down, beat up guys 10 inches taller than him and get the puck out of those corners too. So
yeah,
I feel you on that. Can Berggren do the same thing that Perron's doing?
That's what we got to look at.
So maybe we got to change. Maybe we got to change the narrative. Yeah, maybe we got to change the narrative on the player because, like we were saying now, what David Perron brings on the ice, it's more than just production, right? It's the locker room presence, it's the ability to protect the puck and dish it off to players, right? The production is slipping. However, I mean, you look at our bottom six, I believe that there are players that we could potentially move out instead of Perron. Me, for one, you can call me a Fabry hater all you want, but I believe Robbie Fabry could be one of those players. You might be missing on the goal scoring that he has provided so far this season, but his injury history, I mean, he has, I think one time he's played one full NHL season where he hasn't missed a game. I could be wrong. Every season other than that, he's always missed time, and it's unfortunate. And so just wanted to throw that out there. Let's go ahead and talk about the league news. Kuznetsov and his $7.8 million cap hit is waived by the Washington Capitals the same day he clears the NHL Players Assistant program. I guess I'm really not surprised, to be honest, guys. More than likely, it's him going to report to their AHL team. Maybe there's a mutual understanding to terminate his contract, and maybe he goes to Russia or something. I don't know. I really don't know too much about Kuznetsov and what the issue is there, but if we wanted to talk about, is this someone that we should pick up? Absolutely not.
No,
thank you.
No,
No, thank you.
When was his last NHL game?
January 27th this year against the Dallas Stars, where he registered 2 assists, believe it or not.
So I'm just thinking, is this potentially just a conditioning stint? I mean, the Red Wings kind of went through this with Verana, right? Where they waived him to put him in GR to kind of get his juices flowing again, get his game back, get his legs underneath of him. This could very well be Washington doing that, because I can't see a team fighting to get into the playoffs and steal that wild card spot, that second wild card spot. I can't see them waiving a guy with that type of brand power. So hopefully he's doing well, as a human being. We hope he's doing well. And I hope that, just as a hockey fan, I hope he's going down there for a conditioning stint and he's back up with the Washington Capitals within a week and they're off to the races again. Just not off to the races where they trump the Red Wings, of course.
Yeah, and for me, the only reason why I'm saying that I don't want to pick him up is because of that cap hit, right? And I don't there's too many teams that could take on that cap hit. Maybe the Blackhawks, maybe the Anaheim Ducks, but I'm kind of right there with you, Carlo. I really do hope, as a human to human standpoint, I hope he's doing all right. And Kuznetsov, if you watch hockey in general, you know who Evgeny Kuznetsov is. I mean, the dude is dynamite out there and he's a fantastic player. So on a personal level, I hope we get to see him play in the NHL still, whether if that's with the Caps or not. But that cap hit is tough to swallow. Derek, thoughts on Kuzi?
I mean, let alone his cap hit, I think that 17 points in 43 games this season doesn't make $8 million look appealing to anybody. Obviously, there are some issues going on that we come to learn after January, but after their last playoff run, the last couple of years, he's just been having a downturn. So what really is going on there? I'm not too sure. Are they trying to buy him out? Are they trying to have him go to the KHL? What's going on? I don't know. Hopefully all the best, but kind of rough to see someone have a turn like that dramatic that quickly. Man, I hope everything's okay. Hopefully he bounces back, but man, rough to see.
Yeah, no kidding. So moving along, there were only 2 trades so far that have happened. There's probably been more, but they've been more light, right? And so let's talk about this one where the Dallas Stars acquired Chris Tanev from the Calgary Flames. And then they also got a goalie. You said here, Derek, Cole Brady, which I have no idea who that is. And in return, they ship out defenseman Artem Grushikov, a 2024 second round pick, and a 2026 third round pick. And essentially all the cap hit got retained because New Jersey Devils actually came in and retained 25% as well. So
that was nuts.
This was, I'm just going to say it, this was a fleece by the Dallas Stars. I think they did a fantastic job. Jin Nil, I miss that man. I really wish he was still in the Red Wings organization, but he did a fantastic job in that trade. I mean, Chris Tanev really doesn't produce in the points category, but a solid, very solid NHL defenseman. And so that's definitely a team that you got to watch out for going into the playoffs. I would not be surprised if the matchup ends up being the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers. Low key. I'm just going to throw that out there. Knock on wood. But we'll do our Stanley Cup predictions in a later episode. But real quick, what do you guys think about that trade? You guys kind of feel the same way about it as I do, or?
No, Dallas came out big winners in that one. I mean, obviously Calgary is in just basically saying full out rebuild at this point, but 75% of that salary is not on your plate, and you get a defenseman like that. Yeah, good job. You did well.
Yeah,
and
he'll be a highlight. He'll be a highlight for that team, especially in the playoffs, man. He's a guy you want on your team when you're competing in the postseason, 100%.
Yeah, and so for the next trade, it was another 3-way team trade where Toronto Maple Leafs acquire Ilya Lyubushkin and then Kirill Slapets. Maybe you know who that is, Carlos, since you're over there in Canadian land. But same situation. A lot of salary was retained. Carolina Hurricanes, out of all the teams, and that's why I was even surprised that New Jersey did that with the Dallas trade. Why they retained cap? I know that they actually have a decent amount of cap space, but why is Carolina taking out cap space in trades like these? And they only got a 6th round pick out of it. And then the Anaheim Ducks got a third-round pick in 2025, which is next year, obviously. But yeah, a lot of salary retained in here too. So Maple Leafs, I don't know why they went after Ilya Lyubushkin. Personally, I think that was probably one of the worst players you could have made a trade for, I guess, in terms of the defensive market. But what do you guys think about it overall?
I really don't have many thoughts on it. Good for them. It's nothing groundbreaking, I guess. They just added a player to their team.
Yeah.
Pretty much where I'm at with it too. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And
Wasn't there some weird thing with their like cap situation too there that he was so below league minimum or something too?
So his cap hit right now comes at $687,500.
I think they had to double his cap just to retain him, which, I mean, obviously it's great for their cap structure, and Toronto really needs that. So I think that might have been the exact reason they did that trade.
Yeah, because you hear about them potentially being in Noah Hannafin and like all these other big name Rasmus Anderson, and it's like, with what cap do you have, my guys?
Toronto seems to be in on all these big name players, and I'm just like, no, I don't see how that's possible.
Like they're talking to them, trying to finesse a deal that's not going to work probably, but yeah, they're there.
Did you see Lyubushkin get absolutely run by Rempe last night? I think they're calling him the Empire State Building.
I saw all the images of that.
Yeah. Man, he got him pretty damn good. And then obviously that fight between him and Reeves. He made Reeves look like he was like 5'4".
Oh, that was just the saddest thing.
He's huge.
So who won that fight, in your guys' honest opinion? Because Rempe was throwing the punches while grabbing onto his jersey, and I kept on screaming at him, pull his jersey down and give him a good uppercut for us. Please, just do that. But to me personally, I think Reeves landed some pretty good blows on the kid.
He did. I thought it was honestly a very 50-50 tilt. Like, I mean, maybe you go 51-49 if you're going to put a winner on it. Like, it was a very good fight. Credit to Reeves for hanging with him, because that guy is massive. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but did you see Rempe look at the bench when Reeves was challenging him? He was kind of like looking for permission. It looked like he kind of like did one of these to the bench, and I think the head coach gave him the nod, and then he went after. But he's got to be careful, man, because like your brain is gonna be like Lipton chicken noodle soup in like.
I mean, honestly, I just think Rempe at this point doesn't even care. Like, he didn't care to fight that fight. Like, if he wanted to, I think he could have just blown up Reeves. Like, his punches were literally that jersey punches to his face.
Yeah.
He had the reach on Reeves. If he wanted to, that right arm comes in and just knocks his face out if he wants. He didn't do it. Totally. I think the kid's just tired and beaten down at this point. He was like, I don't really want to fight you, Reeves. Like, this is your one job. The only reason you're getting paid is to do this. Like, you have no other purpose. Shut up.
Yeah, and you got to feel for Rempe because he's got that beautiful shiner. I believe it's on his left eye, so he's technically one-eyed Willie at this point. But props for him for going out there. I mean, I don't know what happens when you fight and you already have a shiner. I don't know if that just makes it even worse or if your eyeball eventually just pops out when you're sleeping. But, yeah, pretty soon we're going to have to start calling him Fetty Wap with the glass eye here. So, but in other trade news, the Colorado Avalanche did make a trade with the New Jersey Devils where the New Jersey Devils received Curtis McDermott, and then the Colorado Avalanche received Zakhar Bardakov, if I'm pronouncing that right. And then they also received a 2024 7th-round pick that belonged to the Nashville Predators. And so Colorado was able to save just under $1 million in cap, and the New Jersey Devils took on that cap. So sweet. Good for them.
A little bit of breaking news, too. It's not really a trade, but the Rangers just extended Jonathan Quick for $1.2 million. 1 year, 1.2. Yeah.
1 year.
1 year. Sorry, 1 year. Which is wild. I think 1.2 for him is, considering how well he's been playing, that's pretty damn good. But
I mean, they probably have to go off his age at this point too. But still, he's been playing lights out for them when they actually play him.
I think with Jonathan Quick too is that with someone who made a decent amount of money playing with LA, and then all the cup runs that they went on and winning the cups. For him, I think it's just like, I just want my name engraved on it one more time. And if this is the way that I can help out the team in a, if you want to call it a backup role, I guess it is, because Igor Shesterkin is there and he's played, I'm not going to say lights out this season. He's played good.
He's starting to come though. Like he's starting to turn it on. I think remembering what his last name is and what he's done the last few seasons, because he's starting to really shut her down.
Yeah, and so with Jonathan Quick, I think just by taking that cap, the 1.2, whatever you said it was, Carlo, I think that does that team a favor. And so, especially going into the trade deadline, not that the extension hits the cap this year, but even going into the off season, if they got to make some changes, if they get knocked out in any of the rounds and they don't make it deep, then that helps out the team just in that aspect alone. So good for them. Honestly, I think both sides were very happy with it. And damn, it makes me wish that we can get a backup like that, right? For Alex Lyon. And we'll discuss that in a different episode, I'm sure.
Reimer not doing it for you?
I mean, he's looked good, but I mean,
he's done well for us the last few games. I mean, he really
I'm not going to put him on a long stint, but yeah, he has looked well.
Yeah. So
he's doing what he's been called upon to do.
So, okay, at this point, would you guys rather have Reimer or Husso? Let's just lay it out there. Real quick, which one would you rather have? Just, you don't even have to do a spiel on it. Which one would you rather have at this point?
Husso.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I guess I would say Husso too, even though he's had a baby and then quite a few injuries this year. But yeah, I guess Husso is the way to go. So other than that, no more trades to report. So the next big thing that we have learned, and this breaks my soul because I really wanted him on the Red Wings, whether if that was via trade or offer sheet, whatever it was, Elias Peterson, the forward/center, not the defenseman that's also on the Vancouver Canucks, signs an 8-year deal by $11.6 million. And Derek also says, yes, I wanted him on this notes that we have here. Honestly, boys, real quick, you guys can say this next, but I think that's a steal for Vancouver with the cap going up. Personally, I really do. I thought that he could have gotten 12 and a half. I mean, but that's 900,000, even if you went 12.5 of a difference. So really, is that really going to hurt him that much? No. So yeah, good for Vancouver. Good for him too. I hate to see him play with them for another 8 years, but Vancouver needed to get it done. So what do you guys think about it?
I think it's a great contract for Vancouver. To get a guy like that under 12 with the cap going up, like you're saying, that's A plus work there. Derek, what do you got?
I mean, I was sitting the same. I was saying that they were either to keep him there, had to sign him for 12 at least, or Detroit was going to sign him for 11. And look where he ended up, right in the goddamn middle in Vancouver. I'm like, damn it, we could have offered that a little bit extra more, and we would have took him. I wouldn't have cared. But good deal for them. He's making a ungodly amount of money. I would take that $600,000 he got extra that I thought he was going to get. So, good looks on him.
Yep, absolutely.
And so the last thing that we wanted to do here, and we're going to start doing this new thing where we're going to talk about past Detroit Red Wings players or players that really just don't play anymore. And Carlo, honestly, I'll leave the floor open to you because you're the one who put this in here. So take it away, bud.
Yeah, so, just trying to keep it lighthearted, and obviously yesterday's game required a lot of lightheartedness, so I just said, where's Xavier Ouellet when we need him? And so that's our honorable Red Wing mention for today's episode is Xavier Ouellet. And I think the stat line says that since the new year, 0 goals, 4 points. He's a +4 in 20 games. And we hope you're doing well, Xavier. We miss you, buddy. Hope all is well.
Xavier is currently playing in the American Hockey League, the AHL League, for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton team, which is the affiliate for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, 0 goals, 4 points, +4 in 20 games. LOL. I miss you, Ouellet. Please.
Just don't make us miss you too much.
Right, fair.
Honestly, before you brought him up, Carlo, in our text chat, I forgot the man ever existed. And he's
Oh, yeah.
already 30 years old. I was like, holy crap, dude, he's
Yeah.
that old already. And he was a player on this team when the Red Wings were really, really, really bad. I mean, I think he was like a top 4 defenseman for us at one point, which is disgusting to say. It makes me want to vomit all over my computer right now. But
It hurts a little.
Yeah. I don't want to get into who his pairing was, because maybe we'll save those names for another honorable mention. But there's some good ones. There's some good ones coming, folks. So stay tuned. Subscribe. Like the video. There's going to be more coming.
With that being said, yeah, I believe that we can end it here, boys. So why don't we go ahead and dig into our final thoughts? Derek, you can go ahead and start first if you want, bud.
Boys, let's go Red Wings. These last 2 games were just a little hiccup. Line needed a rest. The boys needed a rest. We got, 5 days now until our next game. We're golden. No worries. Playoffs are coming. Minimum second round. Calling it now. And if Perron gets signed this week in this little, short sentence we have of not playing, calling that we're signing Jack Guentzel. I don't know why.
Close.
I just feel
His
it.
name is Jake. You're so close.
Jake. Well, I don't need to know his first name. It's okay as long as he's playing for us. But that means we also might lose 2 prospects that we've already named. So just throwing that out there. If that happens, I called it already.
All right.
Called out. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think, again, this team has really built some good padding with their stats. I think they got a lot of points. They even still have a game in hand in compared to some of these other teams that are chasing. I'd have to double check that, but I don't think there's anything to worry about. It's a hockey club. They're gonna lose some games. They just played the best team in hockey, a really good, very good team that is big, bad, ugly, and everything you want. To stack up against when it comes to measuring, where we're at. So credit to them. But yeah, nothing to worry about. I think, we still got a really nice schedule to look forward to. We got a nice little break right now to kind of get rejuvenated.
Yeah.
Hopefully those guys are all sleeping in hyperbaric chambers. And, let's get to the next game. Let's get to Colorado. I think we play Arizona twice as well. So there's hopefully some lighter loads there, but yeah, not worried whatsoever. I think there's still a lot to be excited about. And I still think that this team could very well be on their way to starting something special here. And we might have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. No, and my final thoughts are, let's go Red Wings. Obviously, keep it going, keep it, in the playoff race for sure. With Tampa Bay did win last night in overtime against the Montreal Canadiens. I watched that win to a shootout, and I was very disappointed in the Montreal Canadiens. They let it go because they were up a 2-0 lead. Then they were leading 3-2, tied. It was just unbelievable game. But say the least, we still have Tampa Bay has 2 more games played than we do. We're tied in the points category. New York Islanders are 6 points behind us. Toronto is 6 points ahead of us. There's still plenty of opportunities for us to potentially get the 3rd spot, but I'm not going to hold my breath here. And I'll just be thankful if we end up with the first wild card spot. And our matchup is against the New York Rangers, which is very similar style team that plays like the Florida Panthers. So Steve, if you're listening or watching this, please go steal Ryan Reeves or someone relative to that playing style and bring him onto our team or something to rough him up a little bit.
I still want Ryan Reeves. Anyone but Ryan Reeves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, once again, let's go Red Wings. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. That really does help us out. Make sure that you are hitting that thumbs up button. Let's get this to 20 likes or more. That really is appreciated and puts us heading into the right direction of that YouTube algorithm. It helps us out more than you guys can imagine. And then if you're on Spotify listening or watching, yes, you can watch us on Spotify, believe it or not. Go ahead and hit that follow button, rate us 5 stars, and I can't say it enough. Let's go Red Wings, boys. Playoff hockey, and the trade deadline is approaching very, very quickly. And so with that, I think we'll hop off. And so till next time, everyone, we appreciate y'all for stopping by on this first episode of Hockeytown Rundown.
That was cool. Didn't realize that was going to happen. Let's go Red Wings. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.